Hi everyone, my name is Daryl. Thanks for making a date once again. We begin with a celebration of the 70th anniversary of Ghana Cocoa Board under the theme Mobilizing for a Sustainable Economy. The event was marked in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. Our man, Prince Apia, brings us a summary of the event.
A few minutes ago was the launch of the National Cocoa Consumption Campaign here at the Jubilee Park in the Ashanti region. And as part of the program, Asantehene Akuffo II was unveiled as the ambassador for the National Cocoa Consumption Campaign. And as part of his speech, Akuffo indicated and charged the management of the cocoa processing company and other players in the cocoa sector to ensure that they whip up the interest of the public in the consumption of cocoa in the country. Now, on the other hand, President Akuffo Addo also indicated the need for basic schools to consume the cocoa product. He also charged the management to ensure that they increase the processing of cocoa products from factories to tabletop. He wants cocoa products from Ghana to be available everywhere in the country. He also stated that Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, the leadership of the agri sector and cocoa, will come together to ensure that they put up policies to ensure that the two countries spearhead cocoa production in the world, because they have a huge strength in the production of cocoa in the world, about 65% of that, to ensure that Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire and the benefits due them.
And as you heard, Prince reports President Akuffo Addo graced the occasion. Let's hear bits of what he had to say.
On behalf of the Ghanaian people and his government, I say a big aiko to our hard-working cocoa farmers. And an equally big aiko to the board of directors, management and staff of Cocoa Board. Through the years, our cocoa industry has suffered many highs and many lows. From being the largest producer of cocoa in the world at one point in time of our history, we've had to deal with outbreaks of diseases that attack cocoa trees, and with declines in production in the 1960s and 1970s. We even had to deal with a near collapse of the industry in the 1980s. Cocoa production began its recovery in the 1990s. And from the year 2001 to 2003, the first 3 years in office of that outstanding Ghanaian citizen, the former President of the Republic, His Excellency Addo, cocoa production nearly doubled over the figures witnessed in the 1990s. The policies the Akuffo-led MPP government put in place, such as the mass cocoa spraying exercise, ensured that, as projected, by 2011, we produced 1 million metric tons of cocoa. Unfortunately, we have since gone downhill. I'm confident, however, that with the reintroduction of the Cocoa Diseases and Pest Control Program, CODAPEC, otherwise known as Mass Cocoa Spraying Exercise, on 7th August 2017 at Dansu Kronen Sefirioso, together with the provision of subsidized fertilizer to farmers, we will regain our pride of place in the cocoa industry.
Meanwhile, the Asantehene Akuffo II, who was made ambassador for cocoa consumption, urged government to invest more in processing cocoa products locally rather than relying on imported finished products.
We will all contribute in various ways to ensure a boost in the cocoa industry. I am a consumer of cocoa, so if Cocoa Board wants me to be an ambassador for them, I accept. Cocoa is a major resource in the country. We need more cocoa processing factories to enable increased production of cocoa products rather than the constant export of raw cocoa beans and importation of finished cocoa products.
Well, we'll stay with cocoa for a while because local cocoa input producer New Akuffo Industries is asking government to engage indigenous firms to supply chemicals for mass spraying program. Commercial Director Kwesi Boama Addo says this will help grow Ghanaian businesses to strengthen the economy. He spoke with Love Business at the company's exhibition stand on the first day of the National Cocoa Day in Kumasi.
Akuffo Industries is the only local producer of cocoa inputs in the country. Some of its products are already being used for the cocoa mass spraying program. Mr. Boama Addo is convinced a sustained government patronage will increase capacity of local startups to play key roles in initiatives like One District, One Factory.
Yes, the government has involved us in a pilot project about this mass spraying. Now they have rolled us in, and I believe that with the involvement of AF Confidence insecticide, the yield at the end of the day will go up. And our plea is that since this is an indigenous company, we want the government to sustain us so that we can also increase our workers so that more youth can also get work to do. Then at the same time, a local farmer can also increase his yield at the end of the day and also have a rich family and enjoy a very good life. So we want the government to sustain us so that both the government can increase the cocoa production in Ghana and West Africa as a whole.
This year's National Cocoa Day coincides with the 70th anniversary of Ghana Cocoa Board. Deputy Chief Executive Dr. William Mensah shed more light on the significance of the occasion.
Cocoa for us has been the best day for the lifeblood of the nation. The nation depends massively on cocoa for revenue, for employment, and for livelihood enhancement. Especially we have 800,000 farmer families. And these farmers and everybody in the value chain of cocoa, from the farming to the licensed buyers to the processing companies to consumption, everybody depends on cocoa. And we have the view that you cannot do this for this nation without celebrating it. So we are here this morning to let the world know, Ghana to know, that cocoa has been very good. It's helped the economy. It supported a lot of students. We know we have a Cocoa Board scholarship.
Sure.
The scholarship does a lot of things for students. It's helped a lot of people in their education.
Nana Sensumensa reporting for JoyNews.
Away from cocoa, former Chief Executive of the Volta River Authority, Kweku Adoawotre, has been appointed new chairman of the reconstituted board of the VRA. Speaking to Joy Business after inaugurating the 8-member board, Mr. Adoawotre told Joy Business he plans to make VRA's finances and thermal challenges his priority.
Talking about restructuring and reforming the power sector for almost a decade. This isn't really new news. I think the difference now is that the government is really keen to make it the high priority. So from a substance point of view, we've been talking about restructuring and reforming the VRA and the power sector for a number of years. Some things have happened already. You know, they split Gridco from VRA about a decade ago. You know, there are other things that are going on. So it's not all new, but I think it's now a matter of getting some things done.
What would be your priority? Because some are saying that there's a lot on the plate, but which are the focus areas that would lead in this whole reformation that you've been charged to fast track?
Sure. I would sort of break it out into two, in the sense that there's some external issues which have other people involved. So what do I mean by that? The finances of the authority have to be the highest priority. But the government, as you probably know, has already started thinking of floating a bond. The energy sector levy would be used to secure that. But the financial health of the VRA has to be the top priority, but others are working on it, including the VRA. As far as the board and what it sort of can immediately do, I would talk about, or I would say, the internal issues, the restructuring of the non-core businesses, where we've been talking for, again, many years about privatizing them, the schools, the hospitals, the lake transport, or not necessarily selling them off so much as bringing private sector investment is something that is very important as well. And then I would say the next issue, or an equally important issue, is the invitation of the private sector into the thermal assets, which is also something that's been talked about for many, many years. And, understandably, workers are concerned, as they should be. And there's certainly a way to get it done in a way that everybody wins.
But the workers appear not to be that pleased with the approach. I mean, the thermal, some would say that the biggest challenge would be the thermal and people. The thermal operations hasn't been that work, and the workers are still being paid and all those things. How are you going to deal with that issue and letting them appreciate that fresh private capital is needed to turn things around?
The key in a lot of these things is consultation. It's about engaging the workers, responding to their queries, making sure that there are good solutions for their concerns. And they can be worked out. But oftentimes we start a process and we don't fully sort of engage, and we must get that done now.
In attracting that private capital again, would the stock market be a long-term option or a medium-term option as well?
It could be. I don't, it's something I suppose we would have to sort of investigate and look at, but it could be.
But that will be on the table somewhere.
I suspect. I don't know the timing of that, to be honest, but it's something we certainly should look at and make some recommendations to government.
In other news tonight, Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Tremantin has reiterated the commitment of government to resolve issues concerning pirated textiles. According to him, the ministry has issued a letter to the various stakeholders of the industry to nominate members to reconstitute a new task force. Earlier in the day, some members of the Textile Workers Union and textile garments and leather employees picketed the Ministry of Trade to press on their demands for a solution to the collapsing textile manufacturing business. Speaking with journalists, Mr. Tremantin promised government has begun work to end the menace.
I'm sure we are all aware. We've been here and we've known that this has been a perennial problem, dealing with imported textiles, which unfortunately has created serious challenges for our local textile manufacturers. As a government, we are committed to make sure that we find a lasting solution to this problem. And that is why we've had constant engagement and consultations with all the textile companies at the highest level, with the management and the union leaders. And we've come to a certain understanding that the kinds of measures that will be instituted in the next few months will make sure that this challenge and this problem will be dealt with substantively. And so it's unfortunate that I was not here, but it's unfortunate that the members of some of the Textile Workers Union had come and offered or made this petition.
Now, government has begun discussions with international heavy equipment manufacturers to establish mechanization centers in all district assemblies in the country. The initiative is to ensure modernization of the sector for food sustainability. The center would serve as points for farmers participating in the ongoing Planting for Food and Jobs program. There is more in the following report by Ebenezer Sabute.
In its quest to support the food sustainability agenda in the country, as well as help farmers with the necessary tools to participate in the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is collaborating with some investors to ensure the purpose of government program is achieved. To this end, Sector Minister Alan Tremantin has charged the Ghana Heavy Equipment Limited to position itself to lead in the process of mechanizing agriculture in the country. According to him, the establishment of mechanization centers in the various districts of the country will present an opportunity for the company to expand.
We believe that this company is best positioned to take up this challenge for assembling the tractors and agricultural machinery and equipment. So already we've set them on the path of commercial viability. I also mentioned the fact that working together with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, we are going to establish mechanization centers in all the 216 districts, which will provide machinery and equipment to support our farmers and our contractors at the district level. So it means that there's already anchor customers or a defined market for whatever will be assembled and produced by this company in terms of the outreach of mechanization centers to be established in the district.
The Trade and Industry Minister was speaking after inaugurating the Board of Governors for the Ghana Heavy Equipment Limited in Accra. Alan Tremantin assured government will provide the necessary budgetary support to achieve its mandate.
Now their responsibility, with government having opened the way for them to be able to raise the capital, mobilize the resources, and then do the work that is assigned to them. So through that joint venture, they would have at least the infusion of additional capital, apart from whatever government will contribute, the capital, the technology, and the know-how to be able to do what the task that is assigned to them.
The 7-member board is chaired by Yao Obenin and includes Yao Into Abebio as the chief executive.
Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated government's commitment to adopting some innovative ways to boost revenue. This follows Ghana's significant economic growth of 9% recorded for the first half of this year. The development means that a lot more economic activities are taking place, making a strong case for the country to improve tax collections in line with the size of the economy. Mr. Ofori-Atta, however, adds that the development calls for some debate on this issue to inform policy formulation.
Our tax to GDP ratio is actually an interesting question because it's interesting because I would ask you whether you feel Ghanaians are paying enough taxes or being honest about filing their taxes. And since that's where the money will come from, whether we need a real conversation, honestly, of us looking in each other's eyes and finding out the most effective way for everybody to be contributing their quota to this enterprise. I think technology will help, and we are just looking forward to finding ways to broaden that base. Through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, there have been a lot of reforms and trying to stabilize both the social and economic base of the country. And we are currently, I think, in a pretty good partnership of the way forward. But we are challenging ourselves as to the orthodoxy of how best really for us to benefit from this relationship. And as we move into an era where it should be more private sector driven, I think the bank itself is challenged to find the most effective way to get such resources into our country.
The Ministry of Works and Housing is advocating at least 30% of SNIT contributions to be used for securing mortgages for contributors. This forms part of measures to address the housing deficit, which is currently pegged at more than 1.7 million units. According to the Sector Minister, Samuel Atachia, the country lacks a credible mortgage system and makes it difficult for low and middle class to secure affordable homes. He spoke at a press briefing to commemorate World Habitat Day.
One of the things I do not understand is the essence of SNIT. Social Security and National Insurance Trust. If you're a student of language, there's nothing which is a mockery than to say somebody contributed to the pension fund or Social Security and National Insurance Trust, and 60 years down the line, working for the Ministry of Finance, he needs to go to the village and go and live in an old, ancient building because the fund could not help the person own a house. I see situations in which the fund is investing in, excuse me to say, elegant properties. Huge hotels that some of you cannot afford to go and sleep in it for maybe 24 hours.
All right, and so you're watching Business Live. We want to take a quick look at what's happening on the stock market. Joining me in studio, Betha Tibiga, with the latest. Tell us how the market fared today, really. All right, welcome back to the program. Hopefully we can hear you loud and clear right now. All right, so we're talking about the stocks and how they fared today.
Okay, so today we saw a total of 42,550 shares trading at about 93,038.50 Ghana cedis. Only two equities moved on their previous share prices, one gainer and then one loser. Access Bank managed to add 50 pesos to its share price to close at 3 cedis 90 pesos per share, and then Talo lost a peso to close at 17 cedis 73 pesos per share. The major indices, that's the Composite and Financial Stock Index, currently around 37.71%. That's as I closed last week, appreciated by 2.04%, and the Financial Stock Index 2.90% to close at 32.23%. Now, we didn't see much activity. The highest equity that traded the highest volumes of shares was Total, 38,800 shares. All other equities traded less than 1,000 shares on the stock market today.
All right, and a quick update on the cedi. How are we starting this new month of October?
Well, before we even look at like the year-to-date performance of the cedi, how it has performed against major trading partners on the interbank market, let's look at the individual currencies. That's the cedi to the dollar, the pound, the euro, and the CFA. Now, the cedi this year so far has lost 4.62% to the dollar, and then to the pounds 13.47%, to the euro 17.07%, and the CFA, which is one of our African currencies, 14.58%. So if you look at the magnitude for the pound and the euro, you realize that that is quite high as compared to even the dollar, and the euro is the one that the cedi has actually lost so much to, that 17.07%. And if you look at the average performance of the cedi against these major currencies on the interbank market, it has lost 9.79%.
All right, thanks very much, Betha Tibiga, for the update. Let's quickly do our interview of the day tonight. Chief Executive Officer of the GIP, CEO Figuran, says more investments need to be directed towards the agricultural sector to support the nation's ambitious agricultural development. Mr. Grant spoke to Joy Business ahead of the GIPC USAID FinGap Agriculture and Agribusiness Investment Forum.
Interview of the day.
It's important that we reposition agriculture, and once we have the potential, it's different if we don't have the potential, but we do have the potential. And I dare say that the lack of appropriate investment and attention to agriculture is what has led what we every year see as a sort of rural to urban migration of young, able, hardworking people looking to eke a living from a job, because there's no investment in agriculture, so they do come down. But can you imagine if we put even half of that 2.2 billion to work in here, planting the farms, tilling the ground, and then marketing the products internally, and maybe for the sub-region, then we'd have a very interesting agricultural economy. So definitely investments are required now, much more than before. And I do agree that agric is probably one of those very difficult areas that in many banking cycles they would say is high risk. But the returns are definitely worth considering as well.
On the investment side, what are we going to do? What is your office going to do to attract more investors, more foreign investors to this particular sector so that it can actually grow? We can't always depend on government. Well, government has put together a number of initiatives.
Right.
But how do we attract the foreigners to come in?
Actually, when we do go on our investment trips, and very soon we are going to come out with our own sort of teaser on agriculture and the potential and opportunity in agriculture, as we are doing with the other sectors of the economy. But when we do go out, we highlight agriculture as one of our priority areas, agriculture and agro-processing. And we have had some significant interest, some from South Africa, from Asia, even from Europe, who think that Ghana is an interesting place to come and do stuff in agriculture. In the past, we've had some big players like VegPro from Kenya come over here to do vegetables and horticulture for export, because Ghana is situated very well. We are in the middle of the world, but access to the European markets, to the African markets, even to the US markets, is much quicker than some of the other countries. And so if you plant products that have a short shelf life, this is a place where you probably do that and then export them out there for the market. So we do highlight the opportunities.
Interview of the day.
And thanks for watching our program tonight. As always, you can get up to date on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwa. We are back same time tomorrow.